Welcome to this podcast episode in Starseed Gathering, this lovely sacred place where I help people sharing their spiritual business. You will hear about a specific guest today that has so many gifts for the world, and I'm very excited for you to be here. Just open your heart and allow anything that is shared during this conversation to touch your soul and your heart on the highest level. And if you need any more support, you can contact the guest with the links below and myself also linked below. So wishing you a beautiful podcast episode listening right now.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Starseed Gathering. I am Adelaida. I am the host of this podcast. I usually invite a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs sharing their gifts because I believe we need a platform where everybody can share their light, share their gifts, and tell everybody else what they're doing, because it's very important to share a story, because that helps anyone that is in the path of awakening or in the healing path. I have beautiful Adelaida with me. We've connected probably, I think, a year ago-ish. I can't remember exactly. And and she is a beautiful psychic and healer, and she's going to present herself now. Welcome to the show, beautiful. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So tell us a bit about who you are, where you're based at, and what kind of brought you to this beautiful spiritual path, because we all have a different way of getting into it. So if you could explain a bit about yours, that would be lovely.
Okay, so currently I am in the United States, in the state of Georgia. So I'm in the Bible Belt, so already that's fun to deal with. Very hyper-religious. What else? What brought me on this path? So when I was a little kid, I was able to see, hear, know things I didn't know I knew. I just knew it. Smell, sense, things that weren't there, apparently. Logically, they weren't there. And then I would tell my family or whoever was around me about them, and they would just discard it as oh, that's not logical, or just ignore it or whatever. So over time, I just learned to block it out. And I was good at blocking it out for a little bit. And then eventually, as I got a little bit older, I think mid-teenage years, I would have random strangers come up to me, very comfortable, telling me about their life problems. And it's oh, okay, guess we're doing this. For example, there's this one time I was casually reading a book, trying to relax before it was my turn to get my nails done. And this lady decided to sit right next to me and have a conversation with me. It's oh, I was just reading. I guess I'm not busy considering I'm reading a book. But she asked me guidance on how to connect with her Christian God, the Abrahamic God. And I'm well, I have some suggestions if you would like to hear. And she was so open to that, considering I myself have religion trauma from that, but I was still willing to give guidance to people outside of my belief system, which is quite nice. A lot of times we tend to, what's the word I'm looking for? Mock, or whenever we have some type of trauma, we tend to not be so welcoming with the Christian or Islamic or any type of organized religion. So I think over time, as I'm healing through that, I'm learning that everyone has their process, of course, and their healing journey. What else happened? I would get a lot of random people come to me speaking, and I would give them advice, which I didn't know at the time it was channel messages at all. I just oh, well, this popped in my head. I guess this is normal. Another thing too is I would always keep to myself because I was taught to keep to myself. I was very independent, and I prefer to be alone anyway as a child. But as I got older, try to keep to myself, especially in college. And people would randomly sit with me or ask me, hey, is anyone sitting here? It's no, I'm just going to continue doing whatever I'm doing, my schoolwork, whatever. And then they would have a conversation with me. One of my best friends from college, she randomly came up to me and started complaining about a person And I'm just sitting there listening. And we've been friends like ever since, like up to this day. And then another friend of mine who I've been friends with forever now. I didn't want anything to do with her. I just thought I'm just going to keep pushing people away because that's what I was taught to, like, push them away, push them away. It's more comfortable to be by yourself. That way, like, no one can ridicule you or judge you or whatever. She told me her point of view a couple days ago, actually. She's like, yeah, I was like so determined to make you my friend. I'm like, oh, I was just really determined not to. And the thing is, too, I didn't want to take that class either at all, but it was a requirement. I was missing that one credit. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll be here. And then I met that friend. I'm like, and now we're friends like years later and still close. What else? Da-da-da-da. But yeah, I would hear a lot of weird, like there's this one time I was, I think 10 or 9. I'm not sure. It was during when my mother was signing me up for Sunday school classes to get my first communion. And I was curious. I like to explore as a child. I just like to venture around, see what's going on, get familiar with my environment. And then there was this downstairs basement, like stairs to the basement, and it was dark. That's where the classes were being held, right? And I got curious. I was kind of like looking over. I was like, oh, it's really dark down there. And I heard something in a harsh and I think threatening tone saying, don't come down here. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. Let me back up. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, it was just like it hissed and like, don't come down here. It's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go this way then. And that's the thing too. Like, in churches, yes, they are sacred or holy, but whenever we're exercising, quote unquote, our demons or real actual demons or emotional demons, the energy has to go somewhere, right? It's not destroyed. So it could be absorbed into the walls. So that's my thought process. Like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. And then I would see like balls of lights shooting here and there, zipping, and I would be touched randomly and I would turn around and there's no one there. I'm like, oh, okay, that's odd. But yeah. Oh, that's another thing too. Medium. I'm also medium. Also tried to push that away as much as possible. So from late, teenage years up to early college. So I was dating this person, very Christian, and they did not believe in the supernatural or ghosts or anything like that. And so of course I suppressed that and I pushed it down. I kept pushing it down to, like, be accepted. And that's all you want to do is to be accepted, because whenever I was on this journey, not knowing I was going to be on this journey, I felt the sense of homesickness. And I didn't understand for the longest time why I felt like I didn't belong here, like why I wanted to go home. And it's like, I'm already home. What do you mean I want to go home? It's like, oh, okay, that's strange. But just having that person, dating them, and guiding you as they, person guiding you. And so I would push it down. And I realized over time that my depression or my sense of like worthiness was manifesting because of not being authentically myself. And so that ended up in a nasty, like bad breakup, which in hindsight was for the best, but I was heartbroken at the time because it was like a long, like almost 5 years relationship. So it was a lot. What else? So up to that point, entering college, kept pushing it down. And then eventually, I guess whenever you have abilities, you're almost like a beacon of light. And so spirits come in and watch you and like, oh, she has the ability. Oh, she has the gift. Let's just get her attention. And I would just try to ignore them, or like I would see something move in the corner of my eye. I'm like, it's just my eyelash. I'm just going to continue with my studies. And at the time I was studying like pre-med and like criminal justice and like psychology. And I was like, maybe I'm just having I'm really tired. Maybe I'm just really tired. I'm just trying to like logically like explain it away, try to push it and push it and push it to the point where I was 22, 23. So in astrology, there's something called perfection years, right? And so every age is a perfection year. And the year for 22 going to 23. So 23, the age of 23 is the 12th house, which is the house of like invisible and subconscious mental health, and it was not a good time for me. It was very, very dark, to the point where and this is going to be a trigger, that I decided to unalive myself instead, because it's like I can't take this anymore. I can't constantly, like, of course, the not being able to express myself or be myself was like manifesting into like this anxiety and this depression. I still try to reason myself out, because I haven't fully accepted I'm a seer, because I do see things. I haven't fully accepted, but I know I can see things, and like I get communications and hints through dreams too. And there's this one time I invited one of my roommates to come down to visit one of my other friends who lived not far from where we were staying. So she turned on her car, and before she turned on her car, she was coming back to school from home, and she was dropping off groceries. And so I just asked her, hey, do you want to hang out and go over to so-and-so's place? I'm like, yeah, sure. The car was turned off, and when we turned it back on, this song, which I still don't remember the name of the song, but I remember the lyrics that played through the speakers, was "You Are the Light." And I'm like, okay, that's strange. You are the light. And he looked at me. It's like, that song was not playing when I turned this car off. I'm like, okay. It's like, I'm just going to, push that away, push that aside. It'll be fine. To the point where my mental health was deteriorating. I had to leave school. Financially wasn't able to keep up with certain things. I was failing terribly at class because of my mental health. And so that was I feel like I felt like I was a failure, or I felt like I was a failure because I didn't accomplish what I set out to be. Because usually whenever I set out to do something, it is done and it is accomplished. And that's the thing about the spiritual path. It's like, oh, you have a plan? No, absolutely not. We have a better plan. It's like, but I like this plan. No, we got something better for you. It's like, but okay, fine. So they like to laugh at you. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay. So fast forward to 2019. I was looking for a place to live and rent because my lease was about to, expire or be up. And I quickly made friends. Like, again, I have this ability to make friends randomly wherever I go, even though I don't want to make friends. I'm like, I'm just going to keep to myself. I'm just going to do this and this. I'm like, oh, hi. It's like, oh, great. Awesome. But I made friends with this person. I'm still friends with her till this day. Very, I appreciate her so much. She's been there for me when I needed it the most. But yeah, she gave me a place to stay. Like, we helped each other out with the bills, and we split the costs throughout with our roommates. And she was also having trouble with her relationship, so that was something. She helped me and guided me through my abilities, because she also had abilities, and I'm like, oh my gosh, finally someone else has this ability. So I was so excited with that. And there came a time, I think, when another relationship came in, and that didn't work out so well either. It was very hurt the ego, I guess it's what it is. Like, I thought this was going to last a little bit longer than it did, and it didn't, which was for the best, because that caused me to move to another place, which made my psychic ability grow even more. And more I worked on it. And then eventually it got so much that I had to step away from that job, because it was overwhelming, overbearing. That's the thing too. People don't realize or know that whenever you have this awakening or this vibrational increase, people around you, not to say that we're better than them, because we're not. It's just we're more hyper aware, and they haven't gotten there yet. And sometimes they won't get there, so that's okay too. But it's so draining to be around people who have this certain mindset and has accepted the way things are in this world. And it could be better and it could be improved. Of course, it's going to take some time, because we're in the 3D dimension. We're going to have to play by this rule, the rules in this realm. So that's also frustrating. And that's another thing too. Patience is something I need to work on, because I want it done quickly, or I can see it. I can visually see it in my third eye, but it's actually physically going through it in real time. That's obnoxious to me. It's like, I know this is going to happen. You just have to do it. It's like, no, okay, cool. And then eventually I met this really, really great friend of mine. We're no longer speaking, or we're no longer friends, which still saddens me, like makes me sad. I still had the feeling of homesickness up to that point until I met this person, and then eventually this person had helped me realize or convince me that I'm not crazy. Because I thought for the longest time maybe I have some type of like psychosis or schizophrenia, and then he would like explain to me that you don't have any of this. Like, we saw the same things, we felt and heard the same things at the same time, and we didn't even tell each other. It's like, yeah, like we both saw a fairy mid-flight. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then he was driving, and I was in the passenger side, and I look out the window, and there's this car that was pulled over, and the lady was coming out, and she didn't have any distinct facial features. Like, she didn't have any eyes, she didn't have any mouth, and like it was just like the structure, and you could just see the structure. And I just looked, I'm like, and then I think I just said it out loud for the both of us, like, that lady didn't have a face. And it's like, oh, you saw that too. It's like, okay, great. Okay.
Wow.
But
Wonderful.
yeah.
A lot of different experiences. And I mean, I think it's normal, you know, when you're a kid and you have all of those experiences and you're like, what is that? And you feel like so alone with all of that. This hypersensitivity to sound, the orbs we can see, or other things. Like, most people really, maybe they do see it, but they don't really connect to it. They don't really, you know, or maybe they're not conscious of those things. So it feels like we're very on the side. And I can very relate to the fact that a lot of people would come to me when I was younger, or even now. And then, I mean, I love people, but it's like, it's funny, right? We help people, but I love my lonely time too. Like, I mean, I need a balance. I cannot be always with people because it just drains me. So like, I'm picky with who I want to spend time outside of, you know, this beautiful mission I have, just so that I keep my energy up. But yeah, that's what we are, like magnets to other people, and we don't even notice it. Well, we notice it, but we don't really understand it when we're younger. We're just like, oh my God, I don't know why every time I sit at the bus stop, somebody's talking to me. I don't know why. When I'm at school, there's this kid. Usually, most of the time for me, it happened when, like, most kids that were in foster homes, most kids that were picked on, most kids that, or people that I could feel they needed light, they needed love, and they needed somebody to listen to them. And sometimes it's like, man, I've known you for like 2 minutes and I know your whole life. Okay.
The interesting part I've seen is in college also, there's this person who was very skeptical. They did not believe in spirits, they didn't believe in anything magical. Like, if they can't see it with the naked eye, it doesn't exist. And it's funny to me because after a while of hanging out with me, and because, like you said, like, we're magnets, we attract things. And so whenever we'd hang out, something weird would always happen. It got to the point where he saw a manifestation of a hand, and he thought it was my hand, but then he realized I was on the other side of him. And so after a while of talking, he's like, and it was like 3, 4, 5 years ago now. And like recently he was like, I believe you now. Like, I fully believe you. Like, I didn't believe in ghosts before, but now I do.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so many things. And you know, I think when we're open, we have gifts. It's like, you can push it away, but it will always come back, because
Stronger
it's
too.
right, and stronger until you're like, okay, I'll do it. Okay. It's like there is this inner calling. I think if our channel is already open, it's because there's a reason, right? Because we're supposed to channel them. We're supposed to connect to these energies. I mean, of course, then with time, years, and courses, we learn how to work with energy. We learn to like, release the maybe the lower frequencies so that we're not, always surrounded of those darker things. But in the end, there is a reason why we have those gifts open. What would you say? When did you actually connect in and said, okay, now I'm gonna make this like my business. Now I'm gonna put it forward and I'm gonna do it. I'm not chasing to run away from it. I'm gonna do it.
So I went to, she is now my mentor. I went to a reader, a psychic who, what year was it? I was 24, about to be 25, so it was 2020. So I went to this person. She told me, I asked her, it's like, listen, I'm dealing with this problem. I'm dealing with heavy emotion. She's like, that's because you're going on a spiritual path. Like everyone else is experiencing a human experience. Yours is spiritual. Like, oh, okay, that's why.
Right.
And then she's like, okay. She was offering, like, this is a little bit later after that, after I found her, she was offering like classes. And so I think 2021 is when I decided to take her classes. And I was like, all right, I feel better. And then I feel okay and confident with sort of with my abilities. And then we went to we did a meditation to travel to home. And then when we came back into our bodies, I felt how much bigger and powerful I actually am. And I didn't realize it until I had to like step out of my own human body to feel that energy, and then like feel the comparison of like when I was in it, so used to my own energy. And then when I stepped out and came back in, it was like overwhelming, like a, what is it? Surprising feeling, I guess it's the best way right now to describe it. But it was very surprising how much power I had, or how much energy came, like I could feel it like vibrating off of me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I thought, okay, I can probably figure this out. I can do this. And then the year after that, I took some mediumship classes. And then I decided, all right, I'm going to use my gifts. This is it. Okay. As soon as I get comfortable with like mediumship and my psychic abilities, because at that time I was already doing like tarot cards. So I was already practicing. I wasn't doing it professional already. I was just like practicing, and they would drain me so much. And then after a while of like repetitively doing over and over and over again, I built up the stamina. And that's the thing too. People don't realize it's like, it's not like a one and done. And it's like, okay, good. I got it down. It's like, no, you have to do it repeatedly, and it's going to drain you, but that's okay, because that just builds the stamina. And then you have to realize your pattern, your routine, and your ritual, what works for you. So yeah, I think you're 22. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Because yeah, and you're right, because I'm doing, I do courses with beautiful souls, and they want to have their gifts open, and it's like, more you're gonna use your psychic abilities, your healing abilities, like everything that you have, your intuition, like more is going to expand. It's not like one course you're done and everything is is perfect. You need to find the way that works for you. You need to find a right container. You need to find even the cards. I think sometimes they have a different energy. For me, it's always like different ones, and listening to the guidance, and really trusting, that you have within you what's gonna bring you towards your spiritual path and your mission, because we're here on a purpose. Most of us that have those gifts, right? We're not just here to walk in the park, although sometimes we would like to. We're here to open paths for others. So tell me, beautiful, what you do to open the path for others.
Okay, so I'm a tarot reader, psychic reader, medium. I'm also mainly right now, I'm a healer. So that's been fun. I recently joined a team on Facebook called Psychic Community America. Psychic Community America. I auditioned for their mediumship because they were looking for mediums and psychics. I'm like, well, it doesn't hurt. try it. And if I don't make it, I don't make it. It's fine. I was so wrong. And the thing is too, like before the audition, everything that went wrong did go wrong. I had what is it? A water pipe busted in my home, so I had to dry that up very quickly, like 2 hours before the audition occurred. And I'm like, oh great, maybe this is. And the thing is, like, maybe this is a sign. Maybe this is a sign I shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, just go. Just like maybe I should be doing this. Like just go.
Right. And I think that's interesting though. They're showing me it was a breakthrough. It was like, man, you're so ready. And we're gonna like see if you really want this, because we're gonna put this big thing in front of you and you're gonna be like, oh my God, for like whatever number of hours until you get to this place. Okay, I'm ready. I'm excited that you did that. It's really cool. You're putting yourself out there more and more and more. I have to say I'm really excited about that.
Thank you. But yeah. I also do lives. That's the thing too. I do lives on the Psychic Community America page. So I do lives like free psychic readings every like Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So that's, what is it? 6 Central, 4 Pacific, and I think midnight UK time. So you can come look for me there.
Yeah, we'll put the links for all the groups. If it's easier for people, they'll just click below. Beautiful. I know that you wanted to take a card for today. Do you want to pick one now? Did you pick it already? I don't remember.
You can do it in real time. That way people know it's... I will put my input here for people to be wary of card readers on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. That sometimes whenever people who read cards have cards already picked out, I kind of want people to stay away from them because they usually have something already written up or like whatever it is. But yeah, just be wary of like scammers. Like they can't stand scammers. But anyway, right when I was shuffling, it's okay. So what I tell people whenever this card pops up, it's like, it's not scary. It's not meant to worry you, give you anxiety. It's just letting you know that something has to be knocked over for your life to move forward. So the card I got was destruction.
It's like the death card, is it?
Yeah, probably death card. I would probably connect it more with the tower card.
The tower. Mm-hmm.
So, ooh, that was fun. I just got an image of an owl. So with that, whenever I get the image of an owl, I associate owls with like wisdom. So the wisdom you need to move forward will come along with this experience. It's just right now it feels uncomfortable because this is something you've never dealt with before. But also to remember to have compassion for those around you, although people in the spiritual field tend to numb themselves or become very closed off because they've seen and encountered so many people that eventually, just like how doctors or any person that goes into a field of like helping others, they tend to become callous, and we have to be wary of that, to be compassionate towards ourselves and other people, and to remember to see things from a higher perspective, like take a moment to pause and breathe. It feels overwhelming when you're in the middle of a storm, but just take a step back, do your breathing exercises, which is very, very important, and put things into certain perspectives. How is this going to help me in the long run? How is this beneficial? What is this trying to teach me? And all stuff. But that's what the destruction card is here for, is the wisdom. It's time to set whatever on fire, let it turn into ash, and rebuild from the ashes.
Love that. Yeah. And I think, well, we're recording this in a very intense time of the year too. You're going to watch this video later. So I think it's all about that, but everybody's going to watch it exactly in the moment they need. So that's beautiful how it's this world that is a bit seems to be very linear isn't.
Mhm.
So you're gonna listen to this and you're gonna be like, oh, yeah, I needed to hear that exactly at the right moment. So if people want to connect with you, beautiful, what is the best medium to do so?
So I have an Instagram page. Well, you said the links would be listed. So I have an Instagram page. I read for Psychic Community America, so you can check out their website. And then, like I said, the Facebook link is there too, and catch me on my lives. Usually they're hanging out on Wednesdays.
Perfect. Beautiful. Any last words before we end, beautiful soul?
Mm, There's something. You are responsible for your own growth and spirituality. No one else can do the work for you. You have to do the work for yourself, although it can be difficult. It is important to ask for help when you need it, though. So always reach out when you need it.
Right. I love that. Exactly. We had a bit of a discussion before we started, and I think we all want to remember that you have the power to change, but nobody can actually force you into this healing process, and nobody can do it for you. We're just helping you see maybe, the little corners where you can't see, putting lights and like showing you the way, but you gotta walk the way on your own terms, obviously. Yeah. Thank you, beautiful. What a beautiful sharing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your light with this beautiful planet. Please reach out to Ade. Don't be shy. She's a beautiful, beautiful psychic and healer. And I wish you so much expansion in your business, beautiful soul.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you in the next one.